Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. I don't have long because I have a couple of errands to run and I'm baking some pizza rolls. But I wanted to explain to people what's happening in actual real time outside of all the cosplay and stuff. And if you accept this information, that's fine. But if not, I don't. Who cares? When Africa was coming up as a civilization, they had a structure. They had a writing system and a hierarchy. Based on what I've learned in history, they seem to have had a very respectful society. I was not there, so I cannot testify on what they were doing, but all I can explain is when I look at the laws of their gods and their writings and different kings, it was very well structured. It was like a beautiful paradise. Well, from doing history, I've been able to map different civilizations and see who's been attacking Africa and different lands. Well, the reason I bring all that up is once different civilizations that were considered the heathen or barbarian had attacked different lands, what they would do is they would begin to try to adopt their spiritual and religious structures. What you all would know that as today is a Jew and a Gentile. All right, a Jew and a Gentile. And so sometimes I replace the J for Y with certain words. A lot of languages have been switched up. Search your feelings, young Padawans. But I was talking to a buddy about this the other day. After doing multitudes of research and searching what a lot of prefixes and suffixes mean, a lot of people are saying a lot of weird stuff, and I don't think they understand how or why. But I don't really want to talk too much about that in this video. I can a little later. What I was wanting to do is explain what's been happening through civilization. So when these people adopt these new religions or lifestyles, what they do is they can invent a lot of major things, but a lot of times what they do is they'll create something called a Nephilim. A Nephilim is a major god or a major spirit that basically runs throughout the land. Now, you've got many different gods in civilization's history, but you have three really major turning points within civilization. When East Africa and West Asia has started to come back to Africa, what they did was they adopted a new set of religious beliefs. In the ancient times, there were certain religions and practices they didn't, based on the information I have in archaeology and history, scientifically speaking, they weren't like killing things. It sounded like they respected the earth. It was like everything was a god. And then there was like a major god, you know what I mean? And I even doing the looking at the sky, that's just a bit of my paganism, if you will. I'm sorry for that. But what I'm trying to get people to understand is that when the Asiatic shepherd kings had came into Africa, or whatever people call them, what they had did was instituted a new system. They had started sacrificing animals as a part of a law. And now, whatever people's got going on, I didn't come here to, what I'm saying is the old way had got mowed over. And then instead of everything having life, then what ended up happening is they started killing for another type of God. Well, when I talk to people about different things, whenever something is done, not always, but a lot of times when someone starts with something small, it becomes a major problem or a major thing if it's dangerous. So when people started mainstream sacrificing animals, you see in this day and age, they have laws where you can't just go around and kill animals. A lot of people love pets. I have 3 pets myself, 3 cats. Now, outside of that, you go throughout history and you have a lot more Nephilim popping up. You have a lot more major men. Many times there are men that are actually rising and saying really beautiful words, creating and inventing beautiful things. Well, you have a situation where things become a little bit more mild, but it's still really murderous within the communities of these lands, these new adapted laws, violence. And so then when you go later in history and you start to go up into Europe, the problem is a lot of times people aren't telling real truth in history. A lot of these people in these European lands weren't, I don't know how to explain it. Like, first I'll go into like straight up from Italy and the Middle East, right? So, which would be East Africa, West Asia. When you go up, you would have Vikings and barbarians, and they were Anglo-Saxons. Now, they were a powerful people. They had their own beliefs. But what ended up happening was they got adopted into this system of a mainstream entity until they conformed. And when they conformed and began using it, they spread throughout the rest of Europe to Russia and Britain and Italy and all these other countries, and France and all these other countries. And what ended up happening was they weren't given their own freedom to think their own thoughts, be their own person. A lot of times democracy didn't come throughout the world, like even Europe, until like the 1900s. You know what I mean? It was like monarchies. There was kings everywhere and kingdoms. Now, we watch the cool videos of like Lord of the Rings and stuff, or movies like Lord of the Rings and all these other different movies, like Kingdom of Heaven and stuff. You see the kings and stuff. It's like nostalgia. It's like, oh yeah, kings, yeah, super kingdom. But in actuality, a lot of times those people were like living in poverty while the king and the people in the castle and stuff were living good. Now, each kingdom had its own characteristics. And so a lot of kingdoms flourished and stuff because of righteous people and kings. But I'm bringing all this up to say that a lot of times I'll hear people say certain things about different communities. I'll hear people say things about Christians, Muslims, atheists, the LGBTQ, women, African Americans, Caucasian Americans, just Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, anybody, all type, and what I'm trying to get people to understand is we are finally at the point where we can begin to say what we want, be who we want without being violent. That's the only thing I ask. I don't like when people cause harm. That's it. The bullying, the harassment, the telling people they're wrong all the time, the attacking people for their Christians never really had a chance to think on their own. You guys, what people are doing is they'll break free and give out all this knowledge and information. They'll be like, yeah. And then they'll go to fry the Pope, right? They'll be like, yeah, the Pope is wrong. Enslavement, murder. He did all this stuff with his institution, not the living Pope. When I say the Pope, I'm talking about ancient institutions. I'm talking about the institution of the Vatican or the Byzantine, the Catholics. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry. So when people talk all this smack about the oppression and slavery of Christianity and the ancient institutions of Islam, but then they'll talk about these Muslims and Christians. It's like, bro, listen to what you're saying. They were enslaved. They're your brothers and sisters. They need help. They need you to take your hand and be gentle and kind of pull. If a baby's like remember when we watched The Lion King, everybody, whoever has seen The Lion King, and Simba's dad was like, oh, and then Scar was like, yeah, you mother effing Christian, oh. We gotta stop doing that. That's what I'm asking. You know what I mean? It's cool to have fun and stuff, because a lot of times, like what I see Yaju Yehuda doing, like, dude's cool, man. He cool. I'm just trying to get him to understand that there's a lot of I'm sure he understands everything I'm about to say anyway. So yeah, he's cool. I was just, trying to warn people about certain things, but it doesn't matter, man. Because what I try to tell people is that we all have it, to the best of my belief. And so I try to free all people and tell them they're all, you know what I mean? But, to each their own, because when I do that, that's why I teach and guide on the camera, because I don't just want to be like Titus and go out there, or I don't want to just be like Paul and go, I am who I am, and then take Titus and Barnabas into the, you know what I mean? Or I don't want to be like Peter, who became the most famous pope. So that's why, I accept certain lifestyles and I do what I do, I guess. But yeah, I just want to tell people that a lot of people never really had their own voice. Even in our households, I can't just say African Americans was getting beaten with. Bro, I have heard stories from some Caucasian Americans and Asian Americans, even in the Asian. I forgot about that. The Asian community don't play either. That's why I I needed to pull my community back up and help my community ASAP. African Americans, if we can agree, please, were getting brutalized in certain ways. And so I needed to level the playing field again. The blood from the Abels were crying up to me, and I was getting infuriated. So I had to talk to Cain for a minute. Because if you really think about it in succession, the Caucasian Americans were given the land first. Then the African Americans and all the rest of us were able to come up and try to do anything. It's basically the story of Cain and Abel. Now, that's not with total history. I'm just trying to give a metaphor or an example about a situation. That's how I try to use the word to try to help me navigate through life. So that doesn't mean I'm trying to slay the firstborn, if you catch the firstborn of the flock, if you catch my drift. I'm just basically trying to be a light to help other people. Now, that's why I tell y'all, Jehohanan, bro, don't break the covenant. The 10 Commandments is I am who I am. I am sent me. I am the one who frees from the land of bondage. You shall have no gods before who I am. So that means everybody is a part of who I am, if they choose to be. So search your feelings, young Padawan. Now I'll just, But back to the historical of it, and I don't mean to offend anybody with what I'm about to say, but this isn't a fear like, this is me genuinely saying I'm not trying to offend you. You will be kind. No, but what I'm saying is Europeans never had their own way. Europeans never, once Rome and Greece went up into Europe, they never, ever, ever had their own way. Even now in America, look at them. What is the right saying? Censorship, censorship. But I find that heavily ironic, since they're the ones banning books, creating constitutions to force a religion. That doesn't make sense, though, right? So can you guys? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help the entire bird. I don't want the eagle to go down. I don't know what people understand. I'm trying to help people to understand. So, I wish as a country we could come together. This is me saying I want us to be united, the United States. Everybody's got a past. So what we try to do, we try to find who I am. We try to find relief, comfort in our older age. Okay, America, grow up. You know what I mean? So, but this is what I'm saying is, this is why I'm real patient. And this is why I don't like really necessarily crash out like that and be like hating people and shit like that. Because what I did was I showed you what happens when you hate and when you start to go down that rabbit hole. So, the first 80 of my videos, I think, or something like that, 81 videos are like gaming videos. It's when I was gaming on a lot of different games for mobile. But after that, once it gets to the poetry, it'll say like Jehohanan and Psalms or something like that, or some limitations, and then it'll say the word. Those are my videos, and you see when you love people, you know what I mean? It can be it can be a way for everybody. But once hate gets in, it'll spiral into a storm. So, it's hard for me not to love people, you know what I mean? But when I start to not love people, that shit is brutal. Real brutal. So that's why I tell people about mercy and peace and love, because I don't need mankind to tell me what's in mankind's hearts. I am a man, and I know where the heart can go. And so that's why I try to bring a new spirit of peace and love, because Europe has been brutalized. The Middle East seemed, based on what I heard, there was a lot of wars. So that's what I'll say. The Europeans and the Middle Easterns, the East Africans and West Asians, never really had their own ways, man. They was like brutal with law. It's even in the book that they perpetuate, all three of them. So what I try to tell people is, be kind to each other and let's start a new way. You like Allah? Okay. In English, that means I am who I will be. You like Jesus? In English, that means I am a gracious pig. I have a lot of videos explaining why. Sus is Latin for pig. G, which should be Yeh, because his name was Jehohanan, they turned the Y into the J. And so somebody came up with a really beautiful name recently on Facebook. I don't want to name drop it and have them run around everywhere. It's really unique, but it's a beautiful name. Like, oh my goodness. But if she doesn't choose if she doesn't choose the first one, then I'll give it a shout out. But if she does choose the first one, I'm not going to shout it out or whatever, because I don't want, just for certain reasons, I don't have to explain everything. And sometimes what's known in my heart needs to be for my edification. When Europe and the Middle East can finally be free, even if you think about that, Asia too. Asia had regimes and empires and dynasties. Russia, oh man, what I heard from the Mongols, dude, and the Europeans started that. I'm just being honest. I'm telling you all they did, spreading Prester John. It's in written history. So I just have tried to tell people that once we can be free with laws to protect us from harming other people, with the law respected that says no gods before who I am, which means no other I ams before who I am, and don't break the covenant. What's on top of the covenant? Love who I am with all my heart and soul, and love my neighbor the same. So if who I am start to do that, then the world could be a better place in total. You know what I mean? So I just tell people about the covenant. And I have it like a flint knife in most of my video descriptions now. So, yeah. So be peaceful, be kind, and, be friendly if you can. Nah, be friendly. Sorry about that. I am sorry. And be respectful. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Just simple stuff. I've been listening to a lot of music, especially on TikTok. It's just the rhythms, the beats, whether it's rock and roll, metal, rap, soul, hip. I don't know if anybody else can do this or does this. I'll go to listen to, and then right after that, holy, he saved my lonely soul. Just stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it's, I don't even know how to explain it. A lot of times when I hear Jesus, whether it say submitting and just letting it go, I'll just be like, but also do not eat food sacrificed to idols. So no, I stopped doing that. Sorry. That's just a part of my heart. You see how the word just worked right there? Boom. I just showed y'all in real time what the word does and its spirit. And when you stop being so afraid, you can, like a Jedi, start to join. I don't like, see, I'm not going to do it. You can start to join the side of loving others and being peaceful and not causing harm. Yeah, because that good and dark, the Mormons, man, that is so hilarious. Y'all gonna keep playing. And y'all might fuck around and find out. I'm talking about black people go to hell. Y'all is some assholes, man. But that's just a part of my heart, and I'm trying to explain to y'all. People will knock on your fucking door and say some goofy shit like that. So I just hope we can get it together. Like, what the fuck? Who creates a cage of fire and creates awareness and logic and then free will and puts something in a cage of fire forever and ever and ever for eternal torment? What the fuck? That's an angry person creating something like that. You got to be angry to do that. What the fuck? How angry can a person get to create some shits like that? What the fuck? So Nebuchadnezzar, who it's written created the furnace, or for some of the newer people in Marvel, I'm the one that created Babylon. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, God. I told you I'm the most high, nigga. Now, you see what I'm saying? I do not like oppression and stuff, man. But I got to go do some stuff today, and I got to run some errands. So I love you all to the best of my ability, and I hope you all have a beautiful, loving, friendly day. And one more thing, let me abolish my bigotry for the T community, because even I, who have said sorry, can admit certain things. Take a walk with me in that book that talks about not to worry about good and evil. Any of you that are having a problem when you want people to call you them, they, and your pronouns, always remember that in the beginning of that book, it says, let us make mankind in our image. So, if the Lord of hosts has 10,000 angels that doesn't dwell in temples made with hands, but instead the Lord of hosts dwells within, then anytime somebody says they, them, and multitudes, or plural, then how are they wrong according to their own religion and their own words? You see, by their words have they been justified, and by their words have they been condemned. Over and over and over, the same people that will perpetuate and start something are the ones attacking everybody over it. So, as I've told people before, that's why I respect people. Because when you really look deep and find certain things, you never know what you're condemning, even though their own German god, Gudon, Guthis, Norse paganism, Odin, Thor, Saturday, right? That's what they turn the Sabbath to. But that's why I take words and they mean what they mean to me. Now it's my rest day. I chill on Saturdays. I have a mug of St. Nick. You know why? I don't worship it. I drink out its top. Don't call me a Native American because of that. Call me it because I was born here. But their brains are in an acid vat. Everybody born here is a Native American now. But they don't understand what that means. That's why sometimes Freddy comes in, gets them in their dreams. Do not be dismayed or be played by these other heathens. Sometimes they talk all throughout the seasons. Sometimes they do it for absolutely no reasons. I wouldn't necessarily call it treasons, but I know a lot of it's been coming from the freezins. Sometimes I come from the freezer. You know, sometimes you gotta be cold. Don't take my words and metaphors and play with me. I want everybody to grow old. Sometimes you gotta be hot like the fires within and shine a light on sin. That way, there isn't confusion amongst men. Don't worry, women and all the daughters. I heard about the 144 and all the slaughters, all the slavery and murder that's been perpetuated. Surely these religious people have graduated. Sometimes things need held back before it causes harm. So that's why Wani's coming like a car alarm. So don't let people cause y'all harm. Be cool. Oh my goodness. Two of my commenters who I didn't, once it got to the guy named the Antichrist, the guy whose name is Justice, I couldn't understand why he would pick that name. But then somebody else was saying something. They called me the Anu, they called me something else and then said the Antichrist always wins and kept saying that I was the Antichrist or something. And so then I started thinking about it. The first Pharaoh was Ahmose. The Pharaoh saved people from the Hyksos and the Shepherd Kings. I just thought about something. Technically, I am the Antichrist. If you think about what the Christ has done for the last 2,000 years, because a lot of you are thinking in terms of word or worldly things, the Christ of this world has been murdering and enslaving. The Hyksos, when they invaded Egypt, were murdering and killing animals and doing crazy shit. The Pharaoh and the Antichrist are the good guys. Holy fuck, it's a mind fuck. That's why I was blessed when I said fuck the Spirit of God, because I learned what the pagan word God means in the actual language, and it's to invoke power for the Norse pagan gods. Holy shit, he was right. If I am against that stuff, and that stuff is the Christ, according to the world, spiritually I am the world's Antichrist. But in the kingdom of the heart, I am who I am. The fires that don't consume. I wasn't consumed by the fires. I win. Holy shit.